Hello everyone, welcome to BVLSI Design lecture number 25H. Today we are going to realize a compact XOR transistor level implementation circuit using technique number 4. So this technique involves a transmission gate and a conditional CMOS inverter. As you can see, the top of the CMOS inverter is connected to B. The input to the CMOS inverter is A and the bottom is B bar. So depending upon the value of B and B bar, it works as a conditional CMOS inverter. Now let us know the truth table. It is very simple for XOR. So whenever both the inputs are same, the output is 0. Otherwise, it is 1. The total number of transistor count over here is 4. And we have used a PMOS transistor as a pull-up and a NMOS transistor as a pull-down. Now over here, the logic 1 is 5 volt and logic 0 is considered to be 0 volt. Now let us directly dive into the working. So let us consider the first case over here. So if you look carefully here, in this case, A is logic 0 and B is also logic 0. So this turns on the transmission gate because upper part over here is logic 0 and lower part over here B bar is logic 1. That means this transmission gate is on. Similarly, if the A is going to the input to the gate terminal of your PMOS transistor, turning it on, whereas same logic 0 is applied to the gate terminal of NMOS, which is turning it off. But since the transmission gate is on, and we know that transmission gate passes logic 0 and logic 1 with a with a strong 0 and strong 1, so a logic 0 at the input side is passed to the output side very easily. So over here we have logic 0 at the output, a strong logic 0. Well, even if the PMOS transistor is on, well, it is not contributing much because already the transmission gate is passing a strong logic 0 at the output. Okay, now let us check the next case. So over here, in this case, when A and B are 0 and 0, so our transmission gate is on and a PMOS transistor is on. So for 0 and 0, PMOS transistor is on and a transmission gate is on, and we have a strong logic 0 at the output. Let us check the next case over here. That is case number 2. So in case number 2, again the B is 0, logic 0, and B bar is logic 1 automatically. So again the transmission gate is on and it passes a strong logic 1 at the output. So at the output, we have a strong logic 1 irrespective of the turning on and off of your N pass and P pass transistors over here. So here we have this logic 1 applied to the gate of MP. So your PMOS transistor MP is off and your NMOS transistor MN is on. Now it doesn't matter because already the transmission gate has already passed a strong logic 0 at the output. Okay. Now let us consider the next case. Let me check the truth table in this case. 1 and 0. So for 1 and 0, that is 5 volt and 0 volt, your NMOS transistor is on and your transmission gate is also on. So at the output we get a strong logic 1. At the output we get a strong logic 1, that is 5 volt over here. In this case, we know that for a NMOS pass transistor logic, it passes a strong logic 0, but it passes a weak logic 1. That is, at the output we have max of VDD minus VTN, and a PMOS pass transistor passes a strong logic 1, but it passes a weak logic 0. So getting back to the number of cases, let us go to case number 3. So in case number 3, B is 1, logic 1, and B bar is 0. Okay, so your transmission gate is off. Now this MP and MN forms a CMOS inverter because your B act as a power supply, because we are applying a logic 1 over here. So that means VDD is applied at the top of your PMOS and the ground, that is logic 0, is applied to the bottom of your NMOS. That is the source terminal over here. So that makes this MP and MN combination a CMOS inverter. And we know when we apply a logic 0 to the CMOS inverter, the output will be a strong logic 1. So in this case over here, if you want to say in case of fast transistor logic, so since we can apply this analogy also, that since we have applied a gate voltage a 0 volt, so this upper transistor is acting as a N PMOS pass transistor. So it's passing a strong logic 1 at the output. So this way also we can explain. Okay, so at the output we have a strong logic 1 for the case of A is equal to 0 and B is equal to 1. Here it is. A is equal to 0 and B is equal to 1. Okay, earlier case we did it opposite, I guess. So here we get a strong logic 1. Let us check the last case now, case number 4, where both A and B are logic 1. So in this case, if both A and B is logic 1, B being logic 1 means that your transmission gate will be off because B bar becomes 0. And this MP and MN forms a CMOS inverter because at the source terminal of your and PMOS transistor, we have a VDD connected, that is plus logic 1, and at the source terminal of NMOS we have a ground. Okay, so this acts as a CMOS inverter, MP and MN combination, and since we have applied logic 1, we'll get at the output a strong logic 0. Okay, the another explanation will be that once you apply a logic 1 over here, logic 1 will turn on this NMOS pass transistor and it will pass a strong logic 0 at the output. So that's the another explanation for the same thing. Again, the result is the same, but explanation can be of two types. So over here, the Vout will be a strong logic 0. So in this case, MN transistor is on and the transmission gate is off. So here it is. When VA and VB are 5 volt and 5 volt, your NMOS transistor is on and your transmission gate is off, and we get a very strong logic 0 at the output. So the advantage of this design style is that there is a full voltage swing at the output. That means we pass a strong logic 0 and 1 throughout for all the cases of the input. That is VA being 0, 0, 0, 5, 5, 0 and 5, 5. Okay. Now next thing is we will implement this circuit in LTSpice and check its functionality once. Okay. So let us directly dive into LTSpice. So this is what the LTSpice version of it looks like. Let me just minimize this. Okay, so let us look into it now in details. So this is B, this is A, this is a transmission gate consisting of NMOS and PMOS pass transistors. Remember, for all the PMOS pass transistor, you have to connect the substrate to the VDD, and for NMOS pass transistor, we have to connect it the body terminal to the ground. For PMOS, we have to connect the body terminal towards the VDD. Okay, so here are the connections. This is the transmission gate, and here are my PMOS transistor and my NMOS transistor connected like this. This is my B bar and this is my output. Okay, so this is your compact XOR realization technique number 4. Now let us check what are the pulses for A. So for A, we are applying 0 to 5. 5 milliseconds is the time delay. Rise time, fall time is 1 picosecond. On time is 6 milli, and the period is around 10 milliseconds with a cycle of 10. Similarly, for B, we have 0 and 5, 6 milliseconds. Over here, we have 1 pico second and 1 picosecond as the rise time and fall time. On time is 8 milliseconds, and the period is around 12 with the cycles, number of cycle as 10. Okay. Only thing is that additionally to generate B bar, we have to connect a CMOS inverter to generate B bar from B. To generate B bar from B. So additionally, the transistor count is increased now. Total transistor count has increased to 6 in this case. So 2 for transmission gate, 1 and 1 for your PMOS and NMOS, and 2 for your CMOS inverter. So the total transistor count over here is 6. Now let us check the dot model parameters. So the dot model parameters over here are defined as W and L is 1 and 1, 1 micrometer and 1 micrometer for NMOS. VTO is 0.6, that is threshold voltage, and KP value is given as 200 micro. Similarly, for PMOS, W is 2 micro, L is 1 micro, VTO is minus 0.6, and KP is 100 micro. And we have given the dot run of 60 milliseconds. Now, and the supply voltage is around 5 volts. Okay. Now let us simulate this and check whether we get a XOR functionality or no. So as soon as we run, we get the x-axis as the time axis. We'll divide this into 3 planes. The first plane we will plot VA. Next we will plot VB. and next we will plot V out. Okay. So now let us check the condition one by one. So let me keep the truth table open. What we can do is we can reduce the number of cycles a bit so that it becomes a very compact one. So I'll go over here and reduce it of 60. I can put 30 milliseconds. So again, I'll simulate. Yeah, we get a much better picture now. Okay, fine. So let us start with the truth table. So this is what it is. So we get a strong logic 0 and strong logic 1 output only, and it is a XOR gate. Okay. So for the first case, let us check. So for the first case, both the inputs are 0. Output is also strong logic 0. As you can see, 17 nanovolt is as good as 0. Then next case is this small interval. A is 5 volt and B is 0 volt. So A is 5 and B is 0 will get a strong logic 0. As you can see, 5 volt at the output. The next case we have both A and B as 5 volt. In that case, we get a strong logic 0, as you can see over here very clearly. And we go to the next case where both A is 0 volt and B is plus 5 volt. In this case also we get a very strong logic, 1, that is 5 volt, as you can see over here. Next we again go to your we have 0 and 0. Again, we get a strong logic 0. Is around 16 nanovolt. And we'll check one more case. VA is 5 volt and VB is 0 volt. So we get a strong logic 1 at the output. That you can see very clearly 5 volt. So this functionality at the output which we are getting, it's perfectly working as a XOR gate. But you see, it is a transistor level implementation. So this is the number 4 which we're talking about. This is a compact 2-input XOR gate using a combination of transmission gate and your conditional CMOS inverter. So the total transistor count over here is 6. We require 6 transistors to implement this. I think by mistake I've not added that plus 2, but I will definitely do that. So you require total 6 transistors to implement this logic. Okay. So I guess we have completed the compact XOR gate realization using technique number 4. So that's it for this session. Next time we will start with a compact XOR implementation using a technique 4. So until then, have a good day and thank you.